Welcome back. Health officials are bracing for another uptick in the ongoing measles outbreak as the number of confirmed cases reaches a 5-year high. 626 people across 22 states have contracted the highly contagious vaccine-preventable disease, according to new numbers from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, as infected people traveled to and within the U.S. At least 359 of those cases were in New York City, virtually all in Brooklyn among Orthodox Jewish communities. Officials expect that number to rise after this week's Easter and Passover gatherings. The CDC continues to stress the importance and safety of vaccines. And the American Medical Association is heading to court today in an effort to fight a new Trump administration rule surrounding Title X that would limit what physicians can and cannot talk about when it comes to reproductive health options. Title X, it's a long-standing federal program that provides funding so every person has access to basic preventative reproductive health care, regardless of where they live or if they have health insurance at all. Earlier this year, the Trump administration issued a new rule prohibiting the use of Title X funds to perform, promote, refer for, or support abortion as a method of family planning. The new rule is scheduled to go into effect on May 3rd. Joining me now on this, leading spine surgeon, author, and Morning Joe medical contributor, Dr. Dave Campbell. Dr. Dave, thanks so much for joining us this morning on this really important topic. A lot of physicians are basically saying that this is asking them to commit medical malpractice, this quote unquote gag rule. Talk to me about how this is going to impact physicians and patients going forward.
The problem that is being created is that the patient-physician relationship is being dictated now by this new governmental rule. And we've all, as physicians, long held that we need the ability to have frank and confidential discussions with our patients in the examination room to provide them all of the options for treatment. And that's the rub, is we'll be told what we can say and what we cannot say, which is a big problem.
And then talk to me about what you see happening if this Title X gag rule goes into effect next week. We do know the Trump administration plans, looking ahead, to want to defund Planned Parenthood. This is one step, it seems, in that direction. And as you well know, and as I'd like you to explain to some of our viewers, that Planned Parenthood is not just about providing abortion services, but providing preventative health care for many women in lower income communities.
Well, the clinics, such as the Planned Parenthood, provide much more than the abortion on one side of the equation. They provide screening for cancers like breast cancer and cervical cancer. They provide testing and treatment for sexually transmitted infections. Hundreds of thousands of tests for gonorrhea and chlamydia and even HIV have been performed every single year. So there will be a chilling effect not only on Planned Parenthood clinics, but on other clinics that have nothing to do with abortion. Title X has long prohibited any interactions or funding for abortion. That's not what's at issue now. What's at issue with the AMA taking the Trump administration to task is the intrusion into the physician-patient relationship.
Hey, Dr. Dave, could this be a slippery slope type of scenario where right now the gag rule is applied to Title X, but it could be applied to other scenarios? Maybe if that Title X doesn't affect you necessarily, if you have a heart issue or something else like that, that the government could basically stick their hand in that as well and say physicians can't necessarily talk about other options that you have if you're looking for medical care outside of what you are currently receiving.
Yeah, certainly. To intrude into the relationship that a doctor has with their patient for any disease diagnosis or treatment is antithetical to the basic tenets of the physician-patient relationship. I don't expect that this would transfer to those other chronic diseases. This seems to be most particularly associated with the fluctuating policies regarding family planning.
All right, Dr. Dave Campbell, thank you. We're going to see you again in just a little bit on Morning Joe. Still ahead, everybody. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is urging caution when it comes to impeachment talk. What she reportedly told fellow Democrats about moving forward following the Mueller report. Plus, Senator Elizabeth Warren releases a student loan debt forgiveness plan. We'll have the details about what exactly she's proposing coming up next.
go. 3, 2.
Good morning. It's Tuesday, April 23rd. I'm Yasmin Vasugian, and this is your morning rundown. The death toll in Sri Lanka rose to 321 after a series of blasts targeted churches and hotels on Easter Sunday. Sri Lanka's president has declared a conditional state of emergency, giving security services extensive powers to detain and interrogate suspects without court orders. According to the Associated Press, 40 people have been arrested, including the driver of a van allegedly used by some of the suicide bombers and the owner of a house where some of them lived. Health officials are bracing for another uptick in the ongoing measles outbreak as the number of confirmed cases reaches a 5-year high. 626 people across 22 states have contracted the highly contagious vaccine-preventable disease, according to new numbers from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, as infected people traveled to and within the United States. And the Supreme Court will take up LGBT protections next term, adding 3 high-profile cases that question the legality of firing gay or transgender people. Justices will determine whether Title VII of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, which grants job protections on the basis of race, religion, national origin, and most notably sex, extends to sexual orientation and gender identity. Only 22 states and the District of Columbia have laws that expressly protect the employment rights of gay and trans workers. And that's your morning rundown. Join us on MSNBC and NBCNews.com today for these stories and more. I'm Yasmin Vasugian, NBC News, New York.